Welcome to Dead Dog Media, and today I'm going to be going over the brand new movie based on the insanely popular video game series Five Nights at Freddy's. It stars Josh Hutcherson, Mathew Lillard, Elizabeth Lail, and Piper Rubio. It's directed by Emma Tammi, is scored by the Newton brothers, and is a Scott Cawthon and Blumhouse production. This review contains spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie yet and you want to form your own opinion before hearing ours, consider subscribing to the channel so you can come back and see what we have to say. You can also subscribe to see when we post new reviews so you never miss out. And if you have any suggestions for things we should review next, make sure to comment below. If you or anyone you know is looking to break into the entertainment industry and is looking for help, check out our website. We offer freelance media production services like music mixing, mastering, film scoring, video editing, and more. The website is the top link in the description, or you can just go to www.deaddog.media. I'll be breaking down and rating individual aspects for the film. These ratings will be averaged out at the end for the film's final score. Every rating in my head starts at a 5 out of 10 and moves up or down based on the content. So if something is rated at a 5 out of 10, it means nothing was good enough to bring the score up, but nothing was bad enough to bring the score down. The 4 categories of the film I'll be rating are writing, acting, visuals, and audio. Each category is rated based on aspects relating to the category and relevant to the film. And just for transparency, I am going into this film as someone who has played all the games and watched all the MatPat videos. Though I believe my opinions are not biased when rating the film for what it is, I am going into this with more information about the story and characters than someone else who hasn't played all the games or watched all the videos. So that could shape opinions differently. Let's get started. Our first category is going to be writing. For this film, the writing will consist of plot, pacing, characters, and dialogue. For the plot, I have a 6 out of 10. The plot as a whole is solid. Mike gets a job pulling security at Freddy's, and freaky things happen throughout the nights. During the day, we learn about Mike's difficult life and how he cares for his younger sister and is trying to keep their aunt from taking her, while also wrestling with his guilt over his dead brother and trying to remember who killed him. The killer turns out to be the same person who killed the children that are stuffed inside of and possessing the animatronics at Freddy's, and also he's been unknowingly interacting with the killer's daughter, who is a cop and also watches over Freddy's. The plot has one major hole that comes up when Foxy ends up charging at Mike to kill him, and then we cut to a scene elsewhere, and the next time we see Mike is in a police station being patched up by Vanessa. I guess we have to assume he got knocked out and Vanessa found him, but nothing is shown, so for all we know, Santa Claus could have brought him there. I did like that the animatronics weren't mindless killer robots that just happen to be possessed by innocent children, but I would have liked it more if they explored more of how Afton manipulated the children and why he killed the first security guard in the beginning of the movie. Overall, though, the plot did a great job making us care for Mike and his sister Abby, and also care about the events that were going on and how it would all unfold. I will say that I would have had this movie focus way more on Afton and have Mike related to him in some way, just like in the games, but I don't hate what was done here. For the pacing, I have it as a 4 out of 10. It's going to be one of those movies that's a hard rewatch just because of how they handled the pacing. There is a lot of time spent learning about the characters in heartfelt but not so entertaining ways that on the first watch is perfectly fine. Once you have all the knowledge, it's going to be hard to sit through. Which brings me to the characters. The character work in this is a 7 out of 10. The characters are fully realized and have meaningful emotional moments. This is the best part of the writing, and it's really where the movie spends a lot of its time. It's not one of those movies that just tells you who your characters are then throws them into action. The entire plot is driven by the characters, their emotions, and their motivations. Next is dialogue, which I have at a 4 out of 10. For the production and staff of this movie, I was expecting much worse. There are a few moments, notably with Afton and Vanessa, that the dialogue just isn't good, but everything else is fine. So that brings the writing of the movie to a 5.25 out of 10. Our next category is going to be acting. For this film, the acting rating will consist of main cast and supporting cast. For the main cast, I rated it at a 7 out of 10. Despite some of the dialogue issues, the acting is actually decent. Nothing Oscar-worthy, but much better than a typical horror movie, I would say. And for the supporting cast, I also have this at a 7 out of 10. The aunt was good, the lawyer was hilarious, the babysitter was great and her buddies were fine, the taxi driver was solid, the dead children were great, and the VHS lady was great. Obviously, that brings the acting overall to a 7 out of 10. Our next category is going to be visuals. For this film, the visual ratings will consist of camera, set design, and special effects. For the camera work, I rated it a 7 out of 10. The camera work really shines in scenes where the animatronics are a threat, like seeing Foxy from the ball pit or Chica walking behind the fan. They had some nice action shots that allowed near R-rated gore while still holding the PG-13 rating. Next up is set design, and the set design is a 10 out of 10. The set was amazing. I feel like everyone can feel nostalgic from watching this movie because of how real and familiar the sets feel for kids who have been to Chuck E. Cheese. The FNAF stained glass art, the FNAF drawings, FNAF signs, FNAF posters, FNAF merch everywhere, and just how much it looks like a place that was really used for making pizza and hosting birthday parties really enhances the entire experience of the movie. Next, for special effects, I also have that at a 10 out of 10. I was skeptical about the practical animatronics going into the movie because I've seen it done wrong so many times, just for the sake of using practical animatronics or puppets. But these things look, feel, and move perfect. They don't seem like puppets that have trouble moving around a room and don't actually pose a threat. They look and feel like they could actually chase you and harm you. That averages the visuals out to a 9 out of 10, and this is really where the movie shines. Next category is going to be audio. For this film, the audio rating will consist of score and sound design. So the score for this movie is going to be a 6 out of 10. There's a point gained because some of the songs created for the soundtrack of this movie are actually really unique and good. Like the main track is great, but for the vast majority of the score, it's just generic and forgettable horror movie score. Now, the sound design is a 9 out of 10. Half the reason the FNAF characters work is because when they move, they sound real. So much of the movie hinges on the sound design making the puppets feel and sound real, and they absolutely nailed it. And that brings the audio to a 7.5 out of 10. The overall score of this movie comes out to a 7.2 out of 10. This would be a great movie to introduce your kids to the horror genre without scarring them for life. The movie really isn't a horror movie, it's a FNAF lore movie, and because of that, there's some horror aspects in it. The vibe rating is an 8 out of 10. With how amazing the film looks, feels, and sounds, you can really look past a ton of the mistakes and have a good time. If you enjoyed this review and want to see more, hit the subscribe button. If you want to help this video reach more people, hit the like button. And if you have any suggestions for future videos, leave a comment below. Thanks.